Um, Let me see if we can get started. Okay, so this is our session. Usually is actually given for board members, CFOs, chief AI officers, and compliance officers across the enterprise spectrum. So I'm assuming that you guys are at C level. Even otherwise, don't worry about it. You will become C level right after this. Um, Now, there is three important convergence that's happening today in the market. Three. Number one is the regulatory challenges that we all face. We don't have. I don't have to labor that point. Is my audio coming through clearly? Yeah. Okay. So I don't have to labor the point. However, I do want to highlight that there is quite a bit of regulatory activism that did exist some time ago, and then it went the other direction. So there is still we have kind of a dicey situation of most, but they do say your SEC filings that you do on 10Ks and 10Qs, both your detailed filings as well as the snapshot of it. You got to organizations have to watch out for it, because earlier the amount of time it required for organizations to process these submissions and filings, and the amount of bandwidth that they have to spend was a function of human effort, right? Now AI is doing the job, right? So organizations, whether it is public or private, have to be extremely careful about what they file and how they look after a couple of years, or even close to near real time, or near to the quarter. We have to be very, very extremely careful, right? So that's an area, there's quite a bit of regulatory activisms that existed, and it's kind of taking different shapes and forms. There is also policy interventions, whether these efforts are in good directions or bad directions, but these are regulations that we do have to follow. So that's the first force that's currently in operations, which is essentially disclosure rules that we live and enforced upon us. And there is a 30% increase since 2021. The ESG related. Yeah. So this CSRD is much more active compared to the US on corporate social responsibility and sustainable reporting directives. So we need to be able to be cognizant of the factor, because if you end up violating these rules, you can get up to $35 million or 7% of your global earnings. And if you're a group, and if you're an operator, you get of it. Again, you might want to check with your local regulatory body to get to which one you get the organization would qualify. So there is a regulatory burden that exists in addressing that. That's number one. Second is the capital allocation. Today, organizations that are ESG compliant get 52. Let me put it the other way. Organizations which are not ESG compliant get to pay actually 50 basis points to 100 basis points more interest for raising the same amount of capital in debt. So your debt is going to cost more. That's the second force that's in operation. Third, AI. The most commonly used household term, the most used word that's coming out of our mouth these days, AI. 7 years ago, when I was teaching, folks asked, is AI a real professor? Right now they're saying, oh, is AI going to take my job away? So we have quite a bit of changes happened in the last 7 years. But these three forces are converging at a point where there is regulatory rules, uncertainty, and some implementation powered by AI. It's not a function as a regulatory authority enforcing it. So AI is actually can look at all your filings and find out where did we make an announcements on our green emission and what was the reality of it. Okay, so if there is a gap in it, there are penalties that it can catch. So AI is like an excellent pattern matching engine. And now that with the power of agentic AI, it's accelerating the process of finding those mistakes, those submission errors and issues. And you can already see this happening in the insurance space, right? So insurance companies use AI to deny claims, right? Not all of them, some of them. So because AI is very, very, very good at identifying that, maybe the claim processing might take time. They might or might not apply AI effectively, but they're very, very good in using AI in identifying if there is an error in your submission to your insurance. Your doctor name is wrongly used. Your name was actually wrongly printed in your claim 837 forms. Your 835 is going to come empty. Okay, so AI is being effectively used. That's the three convergence of that. I'm going to run the rest of the slides a little faster, and then we want to get into a discussion with Dwayne. There is also the dual mandate that exists right now in terms of the yield. A complex activity or ESG activities now is focused both towards in terms of capital viability as well as climatic impact. So the value function right now is an expectation maximization of the yield given the state that they're currently in, and then the penalty state that they could get, and maximize that. So organizations have figured out that if you want to get the best, you don't have to just focus on one parameter of saying whether it's commercial, whether the project is commercially viable or not. Actually, is also optimized. So this is an extremely a simple and easy way to effectively identify and do the due diligence. So because of that, and those, why this is necessary, let's kind of turn the clock back. And a couple of years ago, we heard about the Volkswagen issue. How many of you know about the Volkswagen issue? What was it? Can you outline?
Yeah, they were cheating the emissions.
Yeah. So yeah, very good, Jacob. So what were they doing?
What were they?
The emissions that are coming out of the vehicle?
When they were testing them, they had a device to detect within the car whether it was on the testing machine.
Yeah.
And if it was on the testing machine,
yeah.
then it had ran one algorithm.
Yeah. So it's a recorder line, so I don't want to say anything. It's but you're good. You're not on the camera. Yeah, but that's a very, very, very because when your emissions higher than the standards, and then you report saying you're within the standards, and then you make a lot of money out of it, you actually do good for your shareholders for the short term. Your bonuses are good, but it's not definitely a good thing. And they did get caught. So they got 34.7 billion, resulting in downgrading the credit rating as well. So there are issues around that, and WeWorks as well. There's another classic example of the CEO himself was self-leading on real estate. And the DWS, which is the Deutsche Bank's arm, was responsible on a similar kind of a compliance issue. Materially, so they were basically, this process is called the greenwashing, right? So you basically say, look, I'm following all the green standards, and which you're not. Your prospectus says something, and then you end up not following it. So, for example, that we all faced about the fire hazard. So don't want to get into details. No bashing of local friends and family. So we'll let that go. OPEC, and one other example that I can provide is in another project that I did help solve that, which is on oil and gas issues in Middle East. I won't name it. So they had because it's pertinent now because of oil. I'll give you the example. This happened sometime ago in 2014. So there was this oil. Guess that oil is not in the sky. That oil is land or under the sea, yeah, offshore or under the sea. But even within that, there's actually specifically locked into rocks. There is a very, very particular type of rock. It basically like a sponge that keeps in all the rock. all that oil, but it is basically igneous in a fashion. The outer hole is, it compresses all that oil, keeps it sealed within itself, as if it's like a mother doesn't want to give the baby out, right? And then guys will go they look for rock with a certain cost inside, and then drill hole, right? You test it and drill hole. Once you put a hole into an highly pressurized, think of it like an orange, yeah. Suddenly what happens, right? You get actually a gush of oil, crude coming out. Usually it's at the very top you have the gas, and then the layer below that is liquid, and then you get the gas first, and then you get the oil. Sometimes some very high quality ones are actually full of gas. It's not like the one in Qatar. So it's and what happens is, after, you have to be very, very careful. The moment you open a oil well, you have to be very sure about when to close it, because each oil rig is what the cost of an oil rig is. Rental per day. Anybody? Harsha? Jacob? Dwayne? Cost of a rig for a day. $1 million. $1 million. So if you want to keep a rig running for a year, you got to pay $65 million. If you get some discount, you can maybe pay less, but it's very expensive to run an oil rig. And there are thousands of them. And because these rigs have to be, if you take your rig out, because these of those drill heads have 150 sensors that finds the viscosity, temperature, dirt, and several other parameters it collects. We did actually have helped get the patent for our client, process all that, and figure out at what speed you should operate the drill. At what station pull oil, and then when you should seal it. So very crucial, because if you take your oil rig out too early, you're leaving all the oil underneath. Yes or no? Right? And if you move it too late, you're going to get a lot of slug out of that, and then it's going to spoil your expensive oil rig. Got it? So because of that, there is a need for identifying what's called move the rig. So you have to identify when to basically move the rig, and you also have to order the logistic companies, which is like DHL and other guys, to come. Why? Because there is a lot of possibility of oil leakage during the process if you don't do it right. Now, this is an area that we help them solve that problem with technology. Those days, it used to be statistical analysis and machine learning to find out at what point you should actually move the rig. Come there, because you don't want to even waste a couple of days during the process, and then seal the and you can't prematurely seal it, because once you open it, it's not like a cork in your wine bottle. You can just close it and then get away. It actually leaks quite a bit. So $1, the world is now realized it's actually, this is the only, on God's earth, this is the only green planet that we have in the solar system. And if you don't take care of it, we're going to leave it worse for the next generation. So, and then quite a bit of this, I'm not going to get into the details of it. There is a $53 trillion worth of assets under care, and they all are insisting to make all the investments to be ESG compliant. Now, there are 5 layers of the verification. We'll cover that later on in a more detail. But I'll give you some funny aspect of why this is actually taking an important stage. Transformation is because AI is now being used across, because all these frameworks are now available. So what used to take months and weeks, you can do it in like 48 hours to 72 hours. You can find out quite a bit of compliance-related issues. Now, bottom dollar, there are multiple platforms, multiple partners, but one core objective: customer success. And in order to be able to do that, these are the 6 areas of effective usage of AI and the partnership that you have, which is, first is the risk intelligence required. Second is the capital allocation that you need to do so that you can use AI there as well. The due diligence process, which I was mentioning, which is now cut down to 48 to 72 hours. Then the credit insurance premium and pricing aspect. Greenwashing. But all these are guess why all this are possible? Because of this one guy. His name is Ashish Vaswani. In 2017, he wrote this paper. He's Indian by the chance, so he's good guy but bad math. Okay, I mean, good math, but bad usage. Let me put it that way. So this was released called 2017, a paper from his work for Google Brains, and he started implementing a mechanism of creating all training transinduction models, which allowed kind of replace the previous expensive RNNs. This was used by other folks subsequently to create what is called large language model. Why? Because earlier it used to take millions of dollars to develop to do the Indian jugaad, called Indian jugaad. I don't know how many of you understand the word. It's basically a low cost. Indians invented zero. They actually invented 1 to 9, all the numerals and integral calculus, but they're not proud of it. They're proud of inventing zero. They're so, we know we are cheap. So essentially, this one allowed them to create enough models. So Sam Altman, all the guys got into the bandwagon, built all the models. This is the one that you might have to be very careful when you leverage it for your ESG programs. I see a lot of companies using it. You're going to get into issues. That wrap it up with this couple of revelations. So AI is no more a trend; it's a terrain. It has its own mountains, hills, billionaires, poor people, and beggars. So don't look at any next time when you go. Don't feel no. Please be respectful. He's just a billionaire who took a wrong turn, right? So and the AI part. Navigation is worth the journey. Like all journeys, the AI journey is going to take a toll and token. Okay, and the next thing that's going to make us bankrupt is not maybe healthcare, if may or may not be healthcare, but it would definitely be tokens. So welcome to the AI world. With that, thank you so much for Harsha for this opportunity. Thank you.
After the conversation between Dwayne and Professor Prasanna, we'll have each person from your respective group to come and present. So just let us know who from your group would come. You all can decide.
Professor, ready for the conversation?
Thank you. Good to meet you, Dwayne.
Hello. Hello. All right. No, that was a super informative lecture on AI and sustainability. And I just want to gauge the audience. How many of you guys are founders and found that useful? How many of you are investors and found that useful? Like exec and operators. All right. So, Professor, now that we understand the profile of the audience, mostly founders, what is some advice that you would give them in order for them to scale their operations?
Got it. Just to get the stat right, 3 executives, test founders, no investors. If one investor, that's good. Yeah, that's good. So first of all, thank you so much, Dwayne. Dwayne and we do quite a bit of events. He's an extremely smart and successful and creative operator, and he is actually releasing running my event for my book release as well. Let me take the opportunity. So this is my. You guys are the first audience to see because it just landed yesterday from the publisher. It is on AI in finance. And I will definitely come over for the 21st event that Dwayne is conducting in.
Yeah, I want to take this opportunity to plug our event on Thursday at Snell and Wilmer, 5 Palo Alto Square. You're all invited. We're going to have an elite network of amazing investors, founders, and various people in the AI and finance world. So it's super exciting. And you might get a signed copy of his book. So something to look forward to.
Yeah, why not? founders and executives. In terms of, let me give you something. Today, some good news. Capital is the ground floors and first floors and the parking, the money. Those who have the most exciting growth tractions are definitely getting funded. So that's one news. Last year, around $230 billion got funded in California. And the month of May, first week, around $5 billion worth of capital got deployed. So there is money out there, but they are going call to the big boys. So if you wanted to, basically, as a founder, if you want to raise capital, don't feel disillusioned. You can raise the capital. But having said that, like an Indian mother-in-law. Okay, I'll give you the background. When a new bride gets married and come in, the mother-in-law is going to be a little strict, because I didn't add it easy. So I'm going to give you the same amount of, be strict about it, right? But they make you earn it. So the VCs and LPs, all of them are making you earn it. So don't be disillusioned. It's just that they're giving you tough love. Okay. And number one. Number two, go after family offices. They got a lot of funds. As long as you can connect to, if you're biotech, pharma tech, and ESG projects and investments, you need to basically go after deep pockets with long patience, right? So it's not an area that we can just go there and shine your badge and then you can come up with a shiny object and get raised capital. So those are the suggestions I give you for founders. Executives, you're in good shape. Yeah, you're going to be in great demand. That's for sure. Just that learn the AI tools. People say AI is going to take your job away. No, AI is not going to take your job away. AI is just a tool, it's just a technology. But the people who use AI are going to take your job opportunity, not only your jobs and opportunity, but your lunch, dinner, the next day breakfast, wipe the plate clean. Yeah, so that's what's going to happen. So that's my input for founders and executives.
So in your presentation, you identified a few points that could use innovation. Could you go a little bit at, and especially what opportunities are out there for founders to really exploit in this current market?
Okay, innovation. The first innovation that I would highly recommend to look at it is not just look at your SEC filings and then that's the basic first level of governance and complaint greenwashing, but to get very specifically into domains. In terms of, for example, how do you fix the oil leak problem by predictively identifying which are the wells that are most likely to leak oil, and then do enforcement on that, and then thereby reducing the carbon emission and then the environmental damages. Go proactively, not technology should just be an enabler, but that's an innovation that you need to do. Focus more on process innovations rather than technology innovations. And I'll give you a guiding principle that can help you. Technology is used to build systems, right? Systems are used to build process, run the process. Process drives the business. Business operates in the marketplace, competing with the rest of the guys in the marketplace. Only when you win, you can actually make some money, and then you can pay all your costs. Everything else is a cost, right? Just the technology shining object is not going to be sufficient. So the focus, move, shift left strategy as an innovation so that you can focus on processes, those processes specifically operating in a particular industry vertical, whether it's healthcare, fintech, oil and gas, or energy utilities and energy. As a lot of innovations. One innovations I'll give you, and then I'll close that answer. not PG&E, but I'll give you, this is another Puget Sound in Washington State. Earlier, they used to basically send helicopters to fly over power lines to find out which power line most likely to cause fire. Later on, those got replaced by drones. So the solution that you offer has to basically be innovative in terms of lowering cost, at the same time speeding up the process. So speed is now the name of the game. That's my speed as an innovation, process as an innovation, shift left as a strategic innovation. Yeah.
So I want to speak more on your authority. You do a lot of advisory work for various enterprises. Could you brag a little bit and talk about like some of the things you're working on right now?
I will chat about it, but I won't brag about it. Nobody likes bragging. I also don't give advices. Nobody likes advices. Though I am serve on a dozen boards, I give recommendations. I share whatever little knowledge I have, and that they find it. In fact, it actually worked out very well for most of them. Several of them are doing well. Almost all of them doing well. Predominantly in the areas of infrastructure area, in the areas that are kind of critical and cannot be easily replaced. And I do quite a bit of workshops in terms of helping them very specific organizations. So I operate the bridge between a startup and a large enterprise. So some board work and some network.
And demographic area that I think is just ripe for innovation, especially in the AI and climate sector.
Geo as a location, cities.
Location, city.
The best city is we are in California, right? The best state is California. The best city is Palo Alto. If you're in Rome, be a Roman, you know.
Well, I think my question is more like where is there are a lot of energy.
Sorry, I know your questions are very important, very valuable, and useful. See, every state, like I told you, by the principle of it, every state, every city, every county is valuable potential. Like exactly what my grandma has always taught me, like when I was a kid, everything is precious. We just have to know how to operate it. If you're a worm, you're very good at operating in a muddy territory with a little moisture. Fish mud, how much of liquid you drop, that's not the right place for the fish. And so is the worm. You take a worm and put it into a clean fish tank, it's going to be fish food. So it depends upon, so know your inner talents and transform yourself. And again, none of us are born the same way. We have always changed. So you can transform ourselves. So whatever it was that got us where we are here today is no longer sufficient to keep us here. Needless to say, to take us to the next level. So you can transform. The transformation can come through interactions and learning and all this process. So the best city for me right now is California and Palo Alto.
All right. Great answer. And so you're releasing a book, AI in Finance. Some lessons that can be applied to the climate space as well.
Yeah, to generate profits for your investors. You've got to be able to give them, if not return on investments, you should be able to give them return on equity. And get good valuation. So the book does cover quite a bit of that, how to use the power of RPAs, agents, and agentic AI to deliver contribution margins as well as which is not necessarily a function of or limited by the number of resources that you can deploy. It's actually a function of the agents that you can deploy and then good quality resources to monitor it. So quite a bit of that is covered, but it also covers on how you could do that in a very safe, responsible fashion, at the same time very empathetically as well. So it is not just numbers alone, but it is also has quite a bit of touch of empathy, touch of making sure that behaviorally we don't go there and make a mess out of this whole thing. You have the like the old saying says, Earth is like a mother. You have the right to milk, but you don't have the right to slaughter. You got to be very respectful of Mother Earth, and you treat your business like a mother, and we are like a small children of her. We should be able to know or be responsible and respectful about that process of consumption. So we should not be getting too much into consumption. So it does provide quite a bit of clarity on how to generate wealth, how to be financially prudent, at the same time fiduciary responsibility and being safe and responsible as well.
Very cool. And as far as agents is concerned, I think, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but the current state of AI, agents is like probably the state of the art. That's like the most advanced we've gotten right now. How do you see agents being used right now in sustainability and climate operations?
Okay, agents are the platforms. There are a lot of agentic AI platforms currently available that basically has a bunch of worker agents to look at through all the submissions and forms that are being provided. All the document processing is done by agents, and then calculate risk scoring associated with that. That's also done by agents. So there are multiple agents doing the job, and then there is this master agent or agentic AI workflow that connects all these individual agents to work together like an orchestrator. And getting the net result done. It's like each agent operates like a god or with a lot of its own agency and freedom, and then multiple agents, right? And then there might be multiple gods, but there's one who's put in those to oversee and govern that. So you need to have the governance agent as well. So that's operationally you can have an RPA or an agent, but you can put a master control agent for governance so that it doesn't cause the hallucination challenges that I was outlining. And because whatever we do now, it's getting recorded. So you need to be extremely, we are in a recorded history now. So everything that you do, you need to be able to be accountable, and agents can do a fantastic job in getting that done as long as you use it responsibly.
Very interesting. And just go more on what you mean by, we're being recorded, and like, what are you suggesting with that?
Good question. It's a little controversy. Let's try to unpack it. Let me give a parallel example, then I'll connect to this one. Earlier, radiologists or folks who were very intelligent. They're also doctors, right? Radiologists are also doctors. Anybody went to a radiologist? Yeah, right?
I went to one yesterday.
You went to a
I sprained my ankle a little bit.
right? So you go to a radiologist. Why? Because when the regular doctors can't find anything, you go to a radiologist. So they have used MRI, CT scan, ultrasound, X-rays to find out what's happening inside. Not everyone chooses to be radiologist. Why? It's folks who don't want to see a lot of patients, but they want to see a lot of pictures, right? Because seeing patients is a very painful process. Because there is a lot of wear and tear happens. So everybody comes there with a set of challenges. So you got to manage your challenge, their challenge, and solve it. So it's a very intense process. So with nurses. So so radiologists don't have to see a patient. They just see a picture and then give a report and then get away with it. So how do you? It's very easy, right? You make $500,000 rubber or $750,000 or right, $400,000, $500,000, and you don't have to see a patient. So you don't get worn out. It's great. You get a good easy living. That was until AI came. Why? Because HIPAA ensures that 7 years of data is persisted. Now AI is going through all the 7 years data and finding out what the radiologist did not catch. Now with that, imagine the hands of a lawyer or a patient or a lawyer. Patient might even forgive. The family won't. Correct? If they did not spot it and then they said no, And then there is a lot of false positives, false negatives. There's liability. Now AI opened up an entire can of worm for the radiologist. Now, from the sustenance point of view, anybody who files 10K, 10Qs, got to be very careful. And it's not just for publicly trading. Privately trading companies also, SEC can trigger for private limited companies as well if their asset bases go beyond a certain threshold. So whatever you file, you have to be precise. You have to double check, triple check before you file anything. So if there's a gap between what you file and what is there, that gap is greenwashing, could be misconstrued as greenwashing. So you might want to be extremely careful because we live in a recorded era because everything that you do is recorded on the 7 years NIPA. In finance, it's actually 10 years. Any trades we do, got to be very careful. Follow the law, follow the rules. And like I told you, if you're in Rome, be a Roman. Follow the rule. Yeah, that's the best. It's recorded. Everything that you do. Did I answer your question?
Not really, but generally, I feel like that's an abstract question. We kind of have to like interpret it.
I will answer that offline.
So in your presentation, you mentioned transformer architecture and how it's currently being scaled to all the current operations using AI. Like, do you see any emerging architectures like world models or any other type of architecture that stands out to you?
Currently, a lot of research going on, including the one that I am currently doing. So I kind of literally, travel. My back really hurts. So I kind of decided to take a little break. I thought, what is the best way to do that is to actually go and fix the math. One Indian has missed, so I'm actually fixing that. Yes, I'm working on a solution to it. I'm very close to a breakthrough. Let's see. Still not there yet. That's one piece of work that I'm fixing it, making it deterministic.
Nice. And you actually wrote a paper that premiered on is it the ArcIV?
Archive. It's a couple of them on Archive, on AI, dark side of AI, the AI safeguards. I basically give both sides of it. I don't go judging. Like all our grandmas, grandpas would say, never judge, right? So I also don't judge. So I don't judge AI either. I basically provide on both sides. So quite a bit of research papers are done.
So for everyone who's not familiar, the archive is where state-of-the-art papers are published, and Professor PK has a few papers published on the archive. Give him a round of applause.
So thank you. Thanks.
Can you go into some of those papers that you published on the archive?
Sure. This may not have an ESG angle, but it's a very one of the first paper that I published is called The Dark Side of AI. This was several years ago, but then I got it republished as well. All the data that we take to train the models, guess where it's coming from? It's all coming from bias and all. Let me practical example. The very first time when I got this back in 2019-20, when we were implementing the solution, the AI came back. I was doing this work at the time, building bots, and then came back every time you ask the model, basically gave some bizarre answers. Airline industries. Then I did search. Airline industry, when you go and search, they face a lot of complaints every day. Who agree with me on here? Airlines face a lot of complaints. Yes, right, during travel, and they have an economic issue because they have get a lot of complaints, but they have very little resources to manage those complaints. There's an economic problem. So how do they do that? Is they use technology to manage and prioritize. So when this happens, when the sentiment engine that they put in front to process that complaints coming in to prioritize it, they figured out that those who make complaints, which harsh words, what the heck, happening, right? What's happening with my seat, and so on and so forth. Those guys are the ones who get attended to first, because the sentiment engine will pick up those as negative sentiments, and with the reward system as reducing the noise. But the other ones with the same airline, same flight, who missed or flight got delayed, sitting there but very polite and saying, "I really need to be there," doesn't surface up, because on the sentiment engine does not look at that as a negative sentiment, but as a neutral or a request.
So
Got
be
it?
an
So
asshole at airports.
Now, here is the interesting part. From an ESG point, I didn't say that, right? I didn't say that, but you're correct. You're correct. So the world kind of rewards a little bit of if you're obnoxious, it kind of rewards, because the data that we gave it, AI is just a tool. It's like a child, it's like a baby. It just learned from whatever. If you just go to scream in our household, it's going to learn that bad word. If you're going to say nice things, it picks up all the nice words. It picked up some bad words, bad practices, bad models. But having said that, ESG point of view, what's the opportunity for us in the community? You have a very unique opportunity to identify and bring C-level folks or folks in power accountable with technology, but without pointing fingers at it. So you can actually have a technology, do a pre-audit, and then help the customer and say, "Hey, these are the areas where you have your nails are up, the hammer is there, you're going to get knocked down." So it gives them the chance, because nobody wants to be wakes up in the morning and says, "Hey, I want to not follow the emission standards," right? If you give them space and time, and then discover and say, "Look, this information can, if it gets go public, it can affect your reputation management," people would go there and fix it. So you now have the technology and tools available to be able to discover from the data using AI, and do audits and assessment. And there is money in audit and assessment. There is an opportunity space around that, but it needs to go away from a shiny object to very specific processes. The key is to discover the processes.
So bringing that to a very concrete example, like Spirit Airlines going out of business last week, like how would they be able to use your platform to potentially avoid that? Like, let's say if they met you a year or two ago.
Interesting thing about the airlines industry, none of the airlines industry, not many, most of them don't give return on investment. Because if they make money in one quarter, they lose some money in another quarter, because the input function for that, the value function for that, is fuel cost. So, but a lot of folks invest in the airlines. Why? Because it always gives return on equity valuation. So for any airline, I'm not going to advise for anybody, because this is not a legal or not a financial or any of the advice, but I'm just going to make a recommendation. If you have to run a very efficient airline, you got to focus on customer delight. Deliver what other, and how do I deliver at the highest possible value at the lowest possible cost? But if you focus only on delivering at the lowest possible cost without the highest possible value, that's what would happen. That could all good for Spirit, it could all good for anybody. Delight, because folks will be willing to pay more, because while other airlines can run, why can't? See, what applies for one organization is equally applicable to other airlines, because they all use pretty much the same. It's either Airbus or Boeing. It's the same product. The experience that you deliver determines how well. That depends upon the sensitivity. So you can use AI to figure out what the customers are thinking, understanding that. Let me give you another example. I helped build way back. This is again quite some time, it's many years ago. A motor club. It's called the Tesla Motor Club. So we did that sentiment analysis engine to find out which guys in the club are very enthusiastic advocate of the brand, who had a certain amount of network influence and all that stuff. So identifying those as your patron helps in terms of reaching out and building that network. And companies which were able to selectively identify those use cases, they could build themselves into a $100 billion brand, $97 billion Brad. So yeah, so that's my answer to your question, and then maybe we can wind up. Yeah. with that.
Yes, it's very interesting to learn about all the case studies that you've shared with us. But we are running short of time,
All right.
and we have to invite the groups who have worked on their presentations to share. And we want you all to evaluate and give comments. But we are short on time, so we'll give 5 minutes to each group to come forth. And yeah, I have a big for you back.
Oh, sure.
I just
All right. Sounds good.
yeah. Would you like to thank?
I want to thank Dwayne for. Usually, he's not this patient with me.
I'm always patient. Can I ask just one question to wrap it up?
Yeah.
All right. So what would be your closing remarks to this audience as far as like what to do next, especially in climate tech and sustainability?
Identify not one use case, but couple of use cases, because our eyes might have eye allergies these days because of our eyes might be small, but we can see the entire world. So don't say if somebody tells you to focus on just one thing. No, focus on as many as you can. But at the same time, once you identify a customer, and then the customer tells you focus on it, focus on it. You can have many partners, many platforms, but one core objective: customer success.
All
Yeah,
right.
and treat your customers like a girlfriend. If you don't engage, somebody else will engage. That's my closing remark.
Awesome. All right, Professor PK, everyone, please give him a round of applause. Good to see you.
We're going to share.
No, I have another one.
Oh, for it.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
appreciate it.
Check it out and let me know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's a small brand I started sideways. Let me know how you like it.
Emily,
I take one.
Dwayne, where are you going?
You want me to keep recording?
Put a stand
No,
here
Stop
or
stream.
It's okay, you can.
Tiger.
All right.